AAC 114, AAC 114, ADC 24, ADC 24,
14,
ADP 40, ADP 40, APC 2672, APC 2672, APGA 4787, APGA 4787, APM 10, APM 10, APP 03, APP 03, BP 11, BP 11, LP 160, LP 160, NNPP 07, NNPP 07, NRM 17, NRM 17, PDP 18, 1847, PDP 1847, 11139. Thank you.
Please, let's have the result.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
They were all then. Yeah. I'll leave that there. Okay. Thank you. complete the class.
Okay.
Number of
I'll call
applicants.
everything.
Just number of applicants.
11977. 11977. Okay, you have picked it. 97. Is that all? So the total now for the accredited
Voters.
is 241090. 241090. Party 81793. A876. AAC 580. AGC 313. ADP 743. APC 42942. 42942. APG 103946. APM 288. APP 133. BP 173. LP 2697. 2697. NNPP 111. NRM 207. PDP 51322. BRP 428. SDP 782. YBP 20917. ZLP 2070. Total value 229521. 229521. Rejected 7841. Total vote cast 237362. 237362. So your name. stamp here. Let them sign so that the stamp will not. So you call the party agents for all these people.
Not now, man. Now when we complete this process.
This result sheet.
Okay. So they have to come and sign.
Let them sign.
They have to
They're
sign.
not signing anything. They're signing if you're issuing it. You're not issuing it yet. It's not complete.
Sir?
Can we continue without let's just wait for a minute. Let the rec come back. It's been linked together. It runs on its own. So I think I have to give to them first.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are done with the collation of comments. Okay, sir.
He doesn't want to sign it.
No, I want to see, sir.
Madam VC, I want to thank you for the rigor and the patience that you have exercised, particularly in doing this work, and thank the people on the table and the gentlemen on the committee that went to do the work. Particularly on the last local government we just discussed, which is the Oru by North local government. The figures were just called out. I'm thanking you because that is the right thing to do. It is the right thing because it is what is good for our country. The things that are good for our country means that we have to always ask for the definition of what is. In this particular case, the chairman of the committee said that the members of the committee agreed that there was need to look at the BVAs. However, it was not possible. That, to me, Madam DC, we were looking at issue of what is good and what is expedient. And if we have to always ask for the definition of is, then we will always have to follow what is good, what is correct. On behalf of my party, the All Progressives Congress, APC, I want to submit that we will prefer that the results of this particular local government be not considered as is, because the committee that was set up here, and I was an observer along with the other agents, they said that they wanted the BVAs to be used in doing this work, but we needed to get to the middle of the road. I think that was the phrase he used. That being said, I thank you for your rigor. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Can we now, let me read the figures. Let's see.
No, let them sign.
Let them sign first.
Yeah.
What about the infamous Fire Festival? But what if I told you that the most incredible festival hasn't even happened yet? For 2 weekends, on the 13th and 19th of November, in Lagos and Port Harcourt, get ready. Music, food, art, fun, and all the best stout in the world. The International Stout Festival presents most incredible out of Niger. Special performances by Ja Rule, Made Kuti, Niniola, and Tubaba. Hosted by Bovi. Register today at www.mostincredibleoutofniger.com. Brought to you by Trophy Extra Special Stout. What is the most incredible festival? Is it Oktoberfest or St. Patrick's Day? What about the infamous Fire Festival? But what if I told you that the most incredible festival hasn't even happened yet? For 2 weekends, on the 13th and 19th of November, in Lagos and Port Harcourt, get ready. Music, food, art, fun, and all the best stout in the world. The International Stout Festival presents most incredible out of Niger. Special performances by Ja Rule, Made Kuti, Niniola, and Tubaba. Hosted by Bovi. Register today at www.mostincredibleoutofniger.com. Brought to you by Trophy Extra Special Stout.
Party AAC 580. 580. Party ADC 313. 313. Party ADP 743. 743. APC 42942. 42942. AGPA, APGA, APGA 103946. 103946. APM 288. 288. APP 133. 133. BP 173. 173. LP 2697. 2697. NNPP 111. 111. NRM 207. 207. PDP 51322. 51322. BRP 428. 428. SDP 782. 782. YPP 20917. 20917. ZRP 2070. 2070. Total valid votes 229521. 229521. Rejected votes 7841. 7841. Total votes cast 23732. 23732. Please, the party agents should please come out. A party, yeah? A party, followed by A party.
No, we can keep it.
Okay.
A party first. AA, not present, not here. AAC, AAC agent.
We are signing, not already.
ADC agent. ADC agent. ADP agent.
Finish signing, you can say anything you want.
ADP agent. APC agent. APC agent. APC agent. AGPA agent. APGA agent. APGA agent.
Nobody has declared anyone.
APM agent. APM. To be followed by APP. APP. BP. BP. LP. To be followed by NNPP. NNPP. NRM. To be followed by PDP agent. PDP agent. PDP agent. PRP agent. PRP agent. SDP agent. SDP agent. YPP, Agent of YPP.
It's coming.
And then ZRP. Agent of ZRP.
You have to give them copies of the listing.
Can I have?
Your issue.
This one is for police.
Okay, this is for police.
Police. This one is for any
I've
headquarters.
kept this one for me.
This is for police. So the parties that contested in that one,
Okay, can
the
I
other
take
one
this
they sign.
condition? A party. AA. AA. AAC. AAC sign.
Who signs?
Their signatures didn't even show anywhere.
If they didn't sign the same thing.
AAC. ADC did not sign. ABC did not.
APG.
APGA.
APM.
What is this? APM. APM. LP. LP. NRM. SDP.
You didn't sign.
PDP did not sign. No, I can't give you when you refuse to sign.
But I raise my hand to talk and you don't want me to talk.
Let us give to those who sign first.
I raise my hand.
We'll give to those who sign first.
Those who sign first.
SDP.
Raise your hand.
YPP.
Which party?
YPP.
I don't understand it. By not signing does not evaluate this result. But also as an agent and mechanic to copy.
We'll give you a copy. Then we issue to those that sign first.
There's nothing appearing here. Nothing appearing here. Nothing here. It's not showing again. Maybe
Apply
pick.
for a CTC. We'll issue a CTC.
Let me get it.
It's blank now. It's blank now.
Well, you have to still give me a certificate of some sort. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate your kindness. Even though it all says nothing.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to once more appreciate you for the orderliness and the decorum we have so far shown. You will agree with me that we have disagreed to agree, especially in the case of Orumba North. We have collated results for 20 out of the 21 local government areas. The astounding result is for Ihiala local government area, where for various reasons the Commission could not deploy materials yesterday. Consequently, based on constitutional considerations and provisions of the Electoral Act, as well as revised regulations and guidelines for the conduct of election issued by the Commission, supplementary election is indicated for Ihiala local government area. First section 179(2) of the Constitution provides for a candidate to secure both the highest number of votes cast and 25% of votes cast in at least 2/3 of the local government areas of the state to be declared the winner of the governorship election. Therefore, it is important to complete the election in Ihiala local government area to make this determination. Also, Section 1793 of the Constitution provides that a runoff election shall take place if no candidate meets the requirement of subsection 2 of the section. Such a runoff shall be between the candidate with the highest number of votes and one among the remaining candidates who secure a majority of votes in the highest number of local government areas in the state. This further underscores the importance of conducting election in Ihiala local government area, so that we shall be covering all the local government areas to make the declaration. Second, Section 26 of the Electoral Act envisages the postponement of an election where there is a cogent and verifiable reason to do so, especially threat of breach of the peace. One major reason for not deploying for election in Ihiala local government area on Saturday, 6th November, is due to security threats, which led to staffing and transportation constraints, among others. Finally, Clause 47 of the revised regulation and guidelines for the conduct of elections provides that supplementary election shall be conducted where the Commission, due to logistical challenges, is unable to deploy on election day. Given the foregoing, it becomes imperative to bring Ihiala local government area at par with the other 20 local government areas in this election before we can make a valid declaration or take any further action based on the extant law. Therefore, I, Professor Florence Banku Obi, in my capacity as returning officer for this election, hereby announce the suspension of the process of collation of results and declaration of a winner until the supplementary election is held in the 326 polling units in Ihiala local government area of the state. I have conferred with the commission, being the body responsible for fixing the date of the election, and the commission has decided that the supplementary election will take place on Tuesday, 9th November 2021. Therefore, the collation of results shall resume thereafter. Once more, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for your exceptional conduct so far and appeal to you to support INEC during the supplementary election so that we can bring this election to a satisfactory conclusion for the good of the people of Anambra State, the people of Nigeria, and to the glory of God. Thank you very much, and God bless us.
Before we start considering others, because they might be places we might
The TVC News at 7 and the TVC News at 10 are not like any other news broadcast.
It's the big news hour, the hour for the big breaking stories.
We've got some of the best reporters on the field,
Taking you through as it happened.
it's fast-paced, hard-hitting,
With investigations that matter.
bringing in news that affects your life.
With sport, entertainment, and business news so you don't miss a thing.
Experience resourceful coverage with depth.
Every night.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
All right, folks, good afternoon. It's a Sunday, and we bring you an expanded program of Journalist Hangout. This is the only rendezvous for men of the writing fraternity, so you don't begrudge us. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Today on the program, despite technology breakdown in some parts of the state, anxiety over possible reign of violence and other problems, Anambra voters elect their next governor. Nigerian Institute of Building laments over 21-story building collapse in Lagos, calls for strict laws against recurrence. And later on, we'll share this with you. Residents lament hunger at Zamfara. Sokoto state bandits occupy farms and harvest crops. That's crazy. I'm hanging out with Lekon Shute and Adewale Adeoye. Lekon, I greet you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me here today.
Adeoye, many thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So, and we'll be joining Babajide Kolade Otitoju by Skype in the nation's capital, Abuja. So the team is ready. I hope you are. All right, our first story. Agreeable, or if you like, likable Borno State helmsman, Professor Babagana Zulum, elected to behave stealthily like the wolf on Thursday. The agriculture engineer went undercover and reportedly caught government officials red-handed extorting unsuspecting citizens between 8,000 and 10,000 naira for services meant to be free of charge. He was on the look-see trip with his health commissioner, Juliana Beatrice. According to the governor, quote, they have turned this government facility to a private hospital. This is why the center has been deserted by people who have no money, end quote. Mr. Governor, we share your rude awakening. But where do we go from here, Shute?
Good question. I think this is the second time the governor is coming in the news for springing surprises on. I think the other day he went to a polytechnic and sprung surprise on them. Mm-hmm. And my thinking that time still remains the same, that it's okay to do that once in a while, but what is the reporting system? Especially in a state that, Borno State is one of the states that salaries are paid. Civil servant salaries are paid promptly. So these people have no reason to be extorting fellow Nigerians to start $8,000 to $10,000. I mean, sorry, 8 to 10,000 naira for what?
Malaria.
For malaria and so on. They even said there's even only one doctor that they found there. And there are supposed to be more doctors. I think before we came to the studio, you were the one saying that people get, no, I think it's, you were saying people get, I did, yeah. The government, people get the government they deserve. Yeah. It appears now, this time around, it is that a government get the people they deserve. The people are the ones who are it is from us that we have those civil servants who are extorting fellow Nigerians. The same Nigerians who, at the IDP camp, people who have been thrown out of their homes, suffering people, the food that is being donated to them, IDP camp officials are selling to them. Mm. Some of the men are sleeping with the women before they can even give them what is their right.
Mm. But do you know, this thing is a two-way street. If you don't ask, if you don't give, the man who asks won't take. Yeah. Is it the blame is just this other guy, these guys?
When you are desperate.
Okay, anything gives.
Look, sometime in July, I was rushed to the hospital around 2 a.m., July 7th, night. When we got to last week, that time the doctors were on strike. Hmm. I imagine that the people who took me there, if they asked them for anything, they probably would have just given them, because I was gasping and it looked like anything could have happened. Yeah. So when you are in a desperate situation, you will do whatever needs to be done at that moment. Okay. And I think, but like I said, the government or the government officials get the people they deserve, just as the people get the government, the civil servants they deserve.
Wale, the other day, the Comptroller General of Immigration came to town and undercover and caught his men in the act. Between then and now, nothing has happened. So that's why the question is there. Mr. Governor, where do we go from here?
Well, I think the governor most likely acted based on information given to him.
Obviously.
and he wanted something like a first-hand information by going out to have a personal experience. I understand he disguised as a patient. But what is coming out of this is that people can go to any extent, you know, when you are talking about corruption. I never imagined that medical officials who are supposed to uphold ethics, medical ethics, you know, would descend to this level of exploiting the most vulnerable in the society. Ordinary people who don't have means of livelihood, who are down and at the point of death, and the next thing you can ask for them is money. So it's a reflection of the kind of decadence, you know, that faces our country.
Yeah.
Borno State is just a mirror of what goes round all over the country, and almost every aspect. So when we are talking about corruption, it's not just about governors, not about senators. It's also about artisans. It's about people who call themselves professionals, medical officers, you know, collecting money, 10,000, 8,000 from poor people who have come to that office because that hospital because they could not afford to go to private hospitals. And the first thing you are asking them is to give you money. So you say we are in a society that is driven by parochial interests, primitive accumulation of wealth. Everything that matters is just money. It's not about humanity. And great societies are driven not just by laws, but by morality. You should have known that as a medical officer, somebody has, you know, his will is down, and then you now ask him to give you money before you give.
Well,
I mean, it's very sad.
You are so corrupt to the extent that you are blind to the man before you.
Yeah.
Not recognizing the man is the governor of the state.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You know, you don't even, you know, as a medical, you read papers every day. You read, so they deal with figures. They don't deal with human beings.
Oh,
you know?
Okay.
So they don't care. Whoever comes, they will have extorted the person before they even look at the face. So they shoot before they even look at the target. You know, it's quite unfortunate.
Yeah.
And I think this, you know, it reflects the kind of, you know, the depth of, you know,
at this
moral
point,
decay.
At this point, Wale and Lekon, we are not demarketing the country. We are reporting our country.
Yeah, sure.
Which is our business.
And it's unfortunate that we have to be discussing these kind of things. You know? I mean, in Nigeria, I mean, we had independence in 1960. By this time, we should have gotten beyond these kinds of things, you know, for people to be extorting. I'm sure you remember the Incorruptible Judge that we read in secondary school. That was in the 60s.
Yes.
That means this thing has been with us for so long, and we are still here in 1961.
And sometimes you are wondering if the beautiful ones are not yet born.
Somebody said
or they never married their mama.
They never. That's what somebody told me, that they have not. Their mothers have not even been married.
That means we must wait.
Yes.
Well, we won't wait as we get to Jide Kolade Otitoju. He is in Abuja. Jide, I hear, is not ready for us. But then we must ask Mr. Governor again. It would be pleasant to me, Wale, if one of the suspects is brought to book.
Yeah, I think that is what we want to see. But first of all, we need to commend the effort of the governor. This is not the first time. There was a time we were going around looking at the blocks they were using to build where people will live. And you just kick the block, the bricks into pieces. So I think a governor should not just sit down in his office and assume everything is okay. A governor should be a field officer. And I think that's the example we have seen in Zulum. And I'm not surprised. I think he has a fascinating history. Even when you look at the number of votes that he had, 1.7 million, is the highest margin, against his opponent, 66,000. And he's proving himself.
And,
every
and
time
the governor before him said
reasons.
he was happy he succeeded in.
Yeah, he's a great man. In fact, he has won the heart of so many Nigerians. You don't just sit down in your comfort and then you want to know how your government is built. You have to be on the feed. You have to feed the impulse of the people. If you don't do that, you will not be able to gauge actually what is going on in your state.
I hear Babajide Kolade Otitoju, BKO, is ready for us. Jide, you were not surprised the other day when we heard that two public servants, or is it civil now, between them had 301 plots in Abuja. And so you are asking, what more can a man ask for?
The conduct of civil servants no longer shock us in our country. For Governor Zulum, this is not the first time he will find civil servants wanting. some time ago, he went to an hospital, a specialist hospital in Borno State, and he discovered that only one doctor was on duty. And that doctor was even not a staff of the state government. He was working for an NGO at the time when the governor went there. So when he asked questions, what they said was that they didn't find the place safe. That was why they stayed away from work. He then said, if someone who works for a non-governmental organization will find that place safe and he was providing care for people, how much more people who get paid from taxpayers' money? So he is already used to making this kind of unscheduled visits to government establishments, and every time this is what happens, he gets disappointed. He went to Ramat Polytechnic the other day. That is the school where he was rector. He used to be rector of that school. He was actually headhunted as commissioner from that school. And he found that, despite the fact they had been releasing money for them to freshen up infrastructure in the school, that the school, that the machines at the school were already gathering dust and all that. So he felt that a polytechnic shouldn't be so improperly looked after, and he was very angry. He had to fire the rector of the school. So, and the entire management was suspended as well. So I can only encourage him to continue along this path, because people must earn the salaries that they get paid. You must earn your wages. You can't be earning salary from government and not paying attention to the work. And where the government decides to make healthcare free, civil servants have no business charging poor people money for cards and all kinds of things. Yeah. It's really shameful. So the people behind this ought to be punished. I will encourage the governor to make sure that they pay for sabotaging the efforts of government to bring healthcare services to the poorest of the poor. Because people will turn back if you ask them to bring some money and they can't raise such monies. Of course, they are going to return home and probably die. So it's unfair for civil servants to behave in this manner.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, before we go over the story, you know, this is a country of religious people. Am I making sense here? Compassion has gone to the dogs.
Well, religion in Nigeria, for what I see to a large extent, has become
a fad?
A fad. You know, if I want to look for a less elegant word, maybe I'll just say it's now culture. It has nothing to do with your spirituality. People go to church or go to mosque and say, oh, I'm a Muslim, or I'm a Christian, as a matter of, shall I say, it's a personal endorsement. Yeah. People tell you, oh, I'm a Christian. The same way somebody will say, oh, on my scout's oath, on my honor as a scout. That's the way it is. People are not spiritual. They don't seem to even understand what is going on. You see people, haven't you heard of pastors stealing offering in the church? You know?
We read and hear.
That's the pastors now, not just congregation now. The pastors now are the ones doing stuff.
We hear unspeakable things. Okay, Mr. Governor, we salute your courage. We want you to go the whole hog. The people must not just be punished, they must be seen to be punished. All right, we'll go on a commercial break, but please stay with us. All right then, let's go to our second story. You know, these are not the best of times for a former #1 citizen, now a lawmaker. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about a gentleman, Senator Danjuma Goje. He got the scare of his life when thugs and miscreants prevented him from entering his state capital, Gombe, on Friday. Now, the criminals, who apparently knew he was coming, set up a bonfire that halted his motorcade. He was unhurt, though. An aide of the former strongman is convinced that some elements with eyes on the 2023 elections are behind the embarrassment. Well, is this a sign of the times or the principle of physics that says action and reaction are equal and opposite?
Well, the hoodlums would not have acted without a very powerful person behind them. They would have been afraid of police and other security operatives, but for them to have the gut to come and stop a former governor, it's an indication that somebody very powerful, And of course, we also read about the ADC of the serving governor that also blocked, the route of the former governor, Goje. One funny thing is that the current governor was Commissioner of Finance.
Under the Senator?
Yes, under the Senator, now Senator. And they were both in PDP before they came to APC. Now, what I see is that the disagreement is not about the interest of the people. It's not about maybe economic planning. It's not about provision of essentials of life for the people of Gombe. It's about the personal ambition of the two individuals. Then the current governor, we understand, doesn't want Goge to even return as a senator, in Gombe State. So I think it's all about personal interest. And then they want to use the people as cannon folders. It's quite unfortunate that this is happening within the same party, APC.
Let's team up with Jide one more time. Jide, we are in Gombe, and whatever was reported is not news to you.
Yes, it's like history repeating itself. The Governor Danjuma Goje is used to helping people to get to power and seeing such people turn against him. When he lost his wife a few years back, the then governor of the state, Dan Kwambo, whom he helped to power, but remained in the PDP instead of joining the APC, stayed away from him. So when he lost his wife and he visited the governor, he visited Senator Goje. Senator Goje gave him a hair dryer in public. He said, the last time I saw you was on the day of your inauguration as governor. And that's talking about 8 years, about 8 years of Dan Kwambo in office, because Dan Kwambo also did 2 terms in office. So Senator Goje was very angry. He said, this same woman that died used to take good care of you. You used to address her as your mother. You never showed up in my house after your inauguration. You are coming here today to greet me because I lost my wife. It's the same situation that he has found himself with Governor Yaya, and it's all in the desire for power. Yaya clearly wants to take over the structures of the APC in the state, as most governors would do. So he sees in his godfather a big threat, and he will do whatever it takes to make Goje irrelevant in the politics of the state. So there had already been tension between both groups, and it came to boiling point on Friday when thugs attacked the governor, the former governor, who was coming into the state for the wedding of his granddaughter.
Yeah.
Now, the party in the state are saying that Goje should apologize publicly for the mayhem. How can the victim of Mayhem be the one to apologize. Goje's son used to be commissioner for health and natural resources, forest resources. She's gone ahead to resign her appointment with immediate effect. So that is APC being clearly polarized in the state and setting the stage for a real battle between Governor Goje and his godson ahead of the 2023 election.
Now to our next story. Reading as a culture took root in our country in the days of yore. It lied at the heart of the school curriculum. The practice ebbed with the disappearance of public libraries that dotted the landscape. A comforting news is in the horizon. As part of activities marking its 40th year of being, the Association of Nigerian Authors, ANA, has concluded plans to distribute some 40,000 books to 40 schools across the country to not only contribute to national development, but reignite the fading reading culture. This noble gesture must be reconciled with a largely internet age that does not encourage reading, Lekon.
Well, I think there's a saying, I'm not sure I'm getting it, I have to fool. But anyway, it says, reading makes you a ready man. Lost it. Nobody's interested in reading anything.
Where are the libraries?
That's a good question. But I tell you something, I spent about 4.5 years in Imo State. Okay. They have a good library system in Imo State. That was in the 90s.
Yeah.
I saw that they had a good library system. But I remember the Central Library on Lagos Island, not far from my father's shop at Tinubu Square. We used to go there, go read.
But Wale, let's talk about reading culture. Yeah. It was hip in those far off years to pride yourself on having been a reader of the classics. Yeah. You know, Lekon cannot forget the African Writer series. Yeah. What about you? How does it sound to you that the culture is trying to come back?
Just yesterday, you know, in our secondary schools, we used to have what we call the variety debate. And students will come and read books, you know. And we knew that the university system education is not just about the 4 walls of university. There's a greater university of life, which is what you learn from outside the classroom.
Yeah.
So we saw a lot of students reading, you know, versatile, you know, read about technology, read about science, read about fiction, and it will increase your capacity to reason.
Yeah.
You know, your understanding of phenomena. You know, it will deepen your knowledge, your wisdom, your creative, you know, imagination. So, but I think that culture is fading away.
Or has faded.
It has faded. So what Anna is doing is quite impressive. You know, these days we say when Africans go abroad, the first thing they ask for is maybe they ask for a worship home. Whereas, you know, the people from Asia, they ask for library. You know, so the whole ideas about the world, the phones we use, the telephone, the IT, is knowledge, it's ideas.
Yeah.
So a country that has no respect for ideas can never grow. And it has to start, it must start from reading.
And
reading
also,
books.
also consider, consider too, that you don't get educated at school, you only get taught.
Yes.
So when you leave the classroom, whatever you do with what you are taught will constitute education, reading being one of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, going to school and being taught, as you have said, then you become literate. Now, when you are going to be educated, it goes a little bit beyond that, you know.
All right, let's quickly join Jide again in Abuja. Jide, good thing, you know, or maybe you want to say too little, too late. The Association of Nigerian Authors are coming to the rescue.
Really not too late. This is the right thing to do. I'm really, really impressed. The culture of reading has really faded in our society, and we have to bring that culture back. Our young people are extremely distracted by the internet. They go on the internet playing games and all that instead of reading. And I keep telling these young ones that, look, the best time in your life to read and ensure that what you have read stays permanently in your brain is between the age of 15 to 24. By the time you are out of the university looking for employment, life's distractions set in. So you are unable to read as much as you used to read. And even when you read, the power of retention is also diminishes as you grow older. So this is the time for them to read. But they are just not interested. They are interested in other things, the entertainment that the internet affords everyone.
Or how many people are following them on the internet?
Well, yeah, you see, the truth is, the internet is the greatest invention since light. But it has also come with all kinds of baggages, all kinds of problems. And the reading culture is suffering as a result of that. Just look at, and they can even read on their phones, but they would rather play the PS4 and other games that are there, stay on Instagram for too long, and nothing is as addictive as the internet or social media. So we've got to find a way to redirect the attitude of our young people to read. When we were young, it was a competition in terms of how many editions of James Hadley Chase you've read, how many periodicals you've read, how many Mills and Boone that you've read. But
you remember the classics? Remember the classics like A Tale of Two Cities and all that, A lot
of them.
Yeah.
Reader's Digest that helped you to know so much about other lands. That culture is not there anymore. That competition, that desire is not there anymore. And we've got to do our best to bring it back.
Yeah.
So I'm really impressed with what Anna has done. And I think that it makes sense for other groups to jump in and help us bring back this reading culture and quickly.
Talk about the internet and so on. All right, Jide, thank you for your perspective. But Leko, do you remember that it bears repeating here that the late, great Chinua Achebe wrote Things Fall Apart at the age of 28. And you are looking, Wale, at a 28-year-old student now. Okay. Association of Nigerian Authors, many thanks. We wish you well. We wish you Godspeed. Okay, let's go to Anambra State on the Mind. Truth be told, the spate of negative opinions ahead of the November 6th exercise painted a picture of a beleaguered atmosphere. The anxiety was, as it was, about a breakdown of the biomodal voter accreditation system, that's BVAS, in parts of the state. The turnout, we can report, was impressive, regardless of the skirmish at Newi over thugs who destroyed materials at Obosi. It must be stated that Anambra, the state of self-styled billionaires, cannot afford not to have an elected governor. But they have, Wale, regardless.
I think the election has been quite peaceful, contrary to popular assumption.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it shows that people still have confidence, in democracy as the ultimate political system that can salvage them. It also shows that people still have some kind of respect for democratic values. And I think it also shows that we need to be very careful about sensation, in the social media. That most of the time it's not a reflection of what is on the ground. From what we are seeing in Anambra State, I think the people have demonstrated that they really believe in democratic norms and that they want to choose their right, the governor to represent them. Yeah. Because the number of votes coming out is quite impressive.
It belies what we
even some unknown parties, SDP, this, that, you see 10 votes, 5 votes, they are human beings. It's impressive. At least it shows that there's a kind of a plural choice for the people. People can still make a choice.
One, I must confess, one striking thing is the lead from the results I'm saying by ABGA against the run of play, as football punters would say, against the run of play, and APC distant third. Exactly. Are you shocked?
At all, I'm not shocked. See, again, before we get into the studio, I remember you were somebody was saying that a lot of people think APGA is the party of Dim Chukwuemeka Odimegwu Ojukwu. The sentiment is there. And then, if you like, the sociology of the church or the sociology of politics, the Catholic Church, membership played a huge role for APGA.
Yeah.
For APGA, the political party. That's one. And then second or thirdly is that, unfortunately, some people actually label APC. They call it Fulani Party. It's a deliberate demarketing strategy to say, oh, it's Fulani Party. Especially because of what has been happening. Headers killing people, attacking people and all that. So it looks like this is the party of the enemy. Whoever is representing them, we are not interested in that person. Even if he's the best person, we just don't want him.
But it made an impressive showing.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It made an impressive showing. There's no doubt that that party or that's APC or its candidate has some strength somewhat. But the thing that is working against it is bigger than that party. And I think that's where we find ourselves. But I'm going to commend IPOB, Indigenous People
of Biafra.
Which is a separatist organization. We need to understand that a separatist organization somewhat endorsing the election.
Yeah.
That's a big step. That's a lot of pride for them to have swallowed, to say, okay, let's not have this seat at home. Please go and vote. And then they did say that our mothers and our leaders spoke to us, and we want to honor them. Now, it tells me, quickly, that they have, shall we say, thrown an olive branch. I think this government, the federal government, needs to sit down and find a way to resolve.
Or street balance. Chris Man get Oga.
Okay. Okay.
All right, we'll Chris Man get Oga. All right, we'll turn things over to Jide in Abuja. Jide, so Anambra is here. Anambra, all the pictures painted, not quite so. So election has come. And looks like a new governor is waiting to take office next year.
Yes, it's a happy day because in spite of the problems, the apprehension, the tension before the election, the people showed resilience and they came out to cast their votes.
We'll get back to it as soon as the road is clear. Wale, so we are not surprised at all. Yeah. And as journalists, our business is not to be opinionated, report what's on the ground.
Yeah, we have to report the diversity of opinion.
That's it.
And not just to write what, we should not substitute our consciousness for the consciousness of the people. So I'm not surprised that guy is, coming out with a good show. Even in Aguata, where the three governors.
But I'm surprised.
Well, look at Aguata, where all the three contestants come from.
Yeah,
with about 20 words, Soludo has been able to beat the other candidates there. So I'm not really surprised because APGA is
regardless of the stud way them planned for him.
Yes. APGA is seen, as their own indigenous political party. And I think it's the party to beat, even though we are not sure of which candidate will emerge. But I think APGA is the party candidate to beat in the Anambra election.
Again, nothing is heard about the ZLP candidate who was kidnapped. That's was like a little fly in the ointment. Okay, I hear Jide is back online. Jide, sorry about it. These things you can never foretell. Okay, good, you're back. So Anambra on the mind.
Yeah. Yes. People talk about low turnout. It's understandable given the tension and the climate of fear that reigned in the days leading to the election. But you and I know that elections in Anambra have always been characterized by low turnout. The highest percentage we've recorded since 2010 was 24% of eligible registered voters. So I'm not surprised that the turnout was low. In fact, I will praise the resilience of voters that in spite of threat to life and all that, they still came out to exercise their franchise. And one other significant thing about the election is the conduct of security operatives. Yes, we had stories of some polling stations not manned at all by security operatives. In fact, some of the candidates claimed that there was no policeman, within the precincts of their polling centers. So you wonder how we could have deployed 34,000 policemen, 20,000 civil defense operatives, as well as soldiers to a small state like Anambra, yet some of the polling centers did not have security operatives. But it's where the security operatives were deployed. We have been hearing reports of decent behavior by these officers and men. We are not receiving reports of people brutalized at polling centers and all that. I think this professional conduct by our policemen, our soldiers, and civil defense operatives must be commended, and this is what we want to see in subsequent elections.
Yeah.
Policemen don't have to get involved in the election, but let them continue to behave in a decent manner, conduct themselves professionally, and the usual distrust that our people have for security agents on election day will fade away. So we've got to give kudos to them and give kudos to INEC as well, because INEC showed confidence, INEC showed determination to conduct this election in spite of the difficulties. And yes, there were issues even with technology, but it's understandable. We were using that technology at this level for the first time. So there would be staff who did not know how to operate.
So it's in the process of being fine-tuned.
Yes. Yeah, so we'll get better. We'll get better. We'll certainly get better.
Yeah. Lekon and Wale, it tells me and you folks that it is possible.
It's possible. Where there's a will, there's a way. But, let's give it to the Anambra people, They have, over the years, just check the quality of their governors over the years. Nobody is perfect, but if you look at the quality of their governors to date, maybe you just have one or two that are not really good enough. But what we have had so much, they've had a careful, even in the chaos that we think we see, they have a way of choosing somebody that would deliver, within the resources that is available to the people of, to the government rather, of Anambra.
But without necessarily preempting INEC, we see a Soludo as a plus.
I can almost conclude that.
Yeah.
I don't. In any case, that was what I thought even before the election. I've always thought, because the way the Anambra people, if you come with your money, you want to bribe people, they will just be looking at you, because there are other people who have more money than you have, who can then tell the other candidate that, don't worry, you don't have money, but we think we want to go with you, and they stand with that person.
Yeah.
You remember there used to be something called People's Club in Onitsha, as you are driving out of Onitsha, by that Tazan bus stop to Obosi and the rest of them.
You advertising.
Big building. They made a lot of political decisions. I don't know if that group still exists now.
Like anything, we talked about reading.
Okay.
That has ebbed.
Because it played a leading role in politics, in choice of politics in Anambra, the old Anambra state of that time, that included Enugu and
today's Anambra.
Yes, Anambra. So they've always been, and a lot of the powerful people in that group are people who have a lot of money and means. And once they are convinced, that's all. They will bring down money, they will bring down support, and the rest of them. And I think whatever they are doing right in Anambra State, other states need to sit down and,
If you look at the what is in contention, what people are demanding for, I think the current governor, two things go for him. First is the cargo airport. Okay. And then is the fact that his tenure, irrespective of the fact that the federal government is responsible for the second Niger bridge. But I think many people in Anambra see the governor as, putting pressure on the federal government to ensure that that bridge is completed. Anambra is the...
Otherwise, Obiano, to me, is like a dark horse.
I think if you talk about roads and all that, I don't think it has made much impact.
No.
But you see, Anambra also is the home of political bigwigs in this history of Igbo politics. Talk of Zik, talk of Emeka Ojukwu, Emeka Anyaku, Tony Nwankwo, even radical politics, Olisa Agbakoba, Professor Obi. So, they have a qualitative political history that is very difficult for just another person to emerge. And I think the power players, irrespective of what political party they belong, I believe they sat down and felt that this
Lekon said,
should give direction to...
The IPOB reversed itself in the nick of time.
Yeah, it shows that IPOB can listen to some people. And it shows that we should not give up hope, that we can also engage in constructive discussion with IPOB. Because if some people can tell them, okay, call off your hand, they did. So it means that we should always encourage the culture of dialogue. We should not say, we should not have we should not have a round table with IPOB. It means they also have listening ears. Yeah. And I think, like my brother said, they have given a kind of olive branch, showing that potentially IPOB can be approached by some people.
Jide, as we bury this subject, but I guess we can say Anambra is ready for the next level.
Yes, it is the political culture, the voter behavior in Anambra has been consistent. And on issues with Jide, yesterday, they asked me the question, who do you think will win? And I predicted that somebody will win, and that person is leading now by an audacious margin. So that has been consistent with the voter behavior in that part of the country, in that state. The voter behavior when it comes to national elections in Anambra State is always different to what you see when it is a local election. Local in this case, I mean governorship and House of Assembly election. So you will find that in the national election, Nigeria's most dominant opposition party always triumphs in that state. That's in the national elections. That's presidential, senatorial, and House of Reps election. But when it comes to the governorship and the House of Assembly election, it's a different party that usually carries the day. The people are resilient. They show the determination to come out and vote in spite of the lingering insecurity across the Southeast. And they've got to be commended for that. And I hope that the incoming governor will be able to build, especially on the tremendous successes recorded by Governor Peter Obi, who perhaps is the best governor in the history of that state, given the achievements that he recorded. He laid a solid foundation for the state. So the incoming governor should be able to build on that. Anambra has got all it takes to be clearly one of the best 5 states in our country. And with the tremendous resources at their disposal and the manpower and the wealth in the hands of individuals in that state, Anambra can actually become a worthy example for our country in terms of industrialization. So I congratulate the Anambra people for the success of this election so far, the success, and I congratulate the armed forces for the good job that they have done. We are not hearing reports of people being beaten and all that yet. We are able to police this election in a way.
As a matter of fact, we are seeing footage from Anambra. We just saw a polling station there. No intimidation at all. People are moving freely. But Lekon, let me tease you. ABGA, the party associated with late Dim Emeka Odumego Ojukwu, has not been able to be felt beyond Anambra. In Imo, it is one-legged. You couldn't say so of Abia, Enugu, and Ebonyi states.
Well,
does it say anything about the politics of Ndigbo?
Well, this is my thought. I've always looked at that and asked myself why. You see, which then takes me to my argument that we need to have in this country opportunity to have independent candidates. Do you understand? That is what I see in Anambra State, that they are consistent. The moment they went for ABGA, you know, they went into it with their culture and their sociology and their religion and their money, and they retain it regardless of whatever economic and social goals within their state. And I think they should have no apologies to anybody for that. Okay. They should be encouraged. And if any other political party that we may think is minority or small decides, is able to have a buy-in to the conscientization of the people of any particular state, and it begins to give returns, maybe we might begin to be looking at the idea of independent. I subscribe to what ABGA is doing, or the Anambra people are doing, 125%.
Okay, okay. Wale, we must bury this. And by asking, where do we go from here? Anambra will not play catch-up. Let them, in the words of Lekon, show us the way, because, as you said a while back, that's the state of the Ziks of this life, the Ojukus, the Anyokus, the Chinua Achebes, name them. Name them.
Olisa Bakoba and all of them. Atonwako, so many of them.
Atonwako,
yes, so many of them. Well, they've shown a great deal of civilization in Anambra State. And I hope this culture will continue. You know, Anambra used to host the first university in the East, University of Nigeria and Soccer, before, you know, it's now in
the first university in Nigeria, actually, because UI was University College of the of London.
No, you people should not quarrel here. We agree.
UNN is the oldest university in Nigeria.
The first indigenous university in Nigeria.
It's the first university in Nigeria.
Let's maintain status quo ante. All right then. Okay, so that's it about that story. We go to the next issue. You know, the Nigerian Institute of Building, symbolically the chief mourner at a time like this, if you understand what I mean, has appealed to the Lagos state authorities to strictly implement its physical planning laws just to stem the rising spate of building failures in the state. The chairman of the Lagos arm of the institute, Lucky Isemane, confessed that Lagos has excellent laws lacking adequate implementation. Please underline that. He commiserates with families of the victims. Meanwhile, the Lagos state government commissioned a 5-man panel to probe causes of the collapse and recommendations. Look on, what do you think happened to previous panel reports?
Nigeria happened to them. The same way.
Oh, Nigeria happened to those reports.
Exactly. The same way Nigeria has happened to this 21-story building that came down eventually. You see, this is a system of impunity that we are running. Civil servants who have responsibilities, you know, somebody says that we need to be careful about certain groups of people, the damage they can do. A doctor may kill one patient, but an administrator can destroy the entire system. Can destroy so many people, including himself. Now, From reports that we have heard, that this gentleman who owns this building that collapsed, 2 other buildings are still standing there, and even the structural engineering firm that withdrew from this 3rd building says, vouches.
Withdrew?
Yes.
From this failed building?
Yes. Vouches for the 2 standing...
Integrity.
Of the 2 standing buildings, beside this one that collapsed. You know, that tells you that, and this same individual is reported to have constructed some buildings in England, in South Africa, and in America. Though I think it's also been said that 4 of the flats in America were pulled down. It came down. You know, but the point I want to make is this. He complied with rules where rules are maintained, and you can't fool around with them. You do it, they sanction you in a very, 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 very serious way. Now, he came to Nigeria, and then he's able to do what he has done, and then, because I saw what looks like the permit for that building, what I saw there says 15 floors. That's what that document said. Approved and signed for the general manager by somebody who is unidentified. They just say for general manager, and there's a signature, it says for general manager. Was it the general manager himself or somebody else who signed? There is no name, just for general manager. Do you understand?
How do you factor the statement credited to the number 2 man in Lagos?
That's a very good question. Not only him, our colleague also, Dele Momodu, I wonder why he felt it was necessary for him to be adding his voice. There's already a panel set up. Let that panel do its job. Let's not preempt them and be telling them, you know, almost, why was it necessary for the deputy governor to say what he said? And why is it necessary for Dele Momodu to be saying what he's saying? That he didn't come. You're not an expert in this job. The deputy governor is also not an expert in this job. Let those people, the 6-man panel, it's not 5, the 6-man panel that has been set up, let them do their jobs. There is a structural engineer there. There are 2 lawyers there. There's a real estate lawyer there. There's a president of the Nigerian Builders Association. There are a lot of people.
Jide, shall we take that line to heart and add it to this discussion? Nigeria happened to whatever happened on Gerrard Road. And the question remains hanging. So what are we doing with reports of other failed buildings in Lagos? Or what did we do with them?
We simply do not learn from these incidents. It's clear to see that we really do not learn from these incidents. In September 2014, 116 persons died when the synagogue church building gave way. 84 of them South Africans, 22 of them Nigerians, and 2 Togolese. The coroner's report indicated what government should do. It affirmed that despite the fact that the church claimed at the time that it was an aircraft that flew overhead that caused the building to give way, that the reason the building gave way had to do with structural and design errors. You can actually get approval to do 21 stories and comply with that approval. But if the design itself is defective, it can bring down the building.
Obviously.
If certain structures, if certain materials that were used were substandard, it can bring down a building. So, harping on the fact that yes, the builder actually got approval to do 21 stories. It's not enough. The issue is, there is so much. When you build houses on drainage channels, you cause problems for the community. Flooding would happen, and lives and properties could be lost as a result of flooding. When you are building a 21-story structure, about 74 meters, you've got to take a good look at the materials that were used. There was a foreign investor who came to our country and said, look, I don't want to use iron rods produced in this country because some of these iron rods produced in Nigeria are decayable. Some of them, even according to the investor, have 45% less carbon. So he flirted with the idea of importing the iron rods, the reinforcements that he will use for that building. And what he had in mind was that for every 3-story structure in our country may not last more than 50 years because of the quality of some of the materials available. You can imagine that investor even thinking of importing cement. So we've got to take all of these pictures that we are seeing. Investigators should be able to look at these pictures and be able to ascertain what happened. It is impossible for a 21-story structure to give way, and then we will be saying, oh, that's the way what God wanted it. No, there will be some underlying reasons for this to happen. And we need to investigate and get to the root of this.
All right,
this kind of structure giving way is unusual.
Yeah, you know, you talked about
punish people when we discover that they are culpable.
Yeah, you know, Wale Jide talked about September 2014. I can talk about December 2016. Later on, you remember the dome of a church at Uyo came down and killed over 200 people.
We discussed it on this program.
And government said the government's official figure was 25. No problem. But between then and now, nothing has happened. And it appears nothing will happen. Wale, are we not dealing with untouchables in this country?
I also
who impugn the system at will and get away.
Yeah, the case of a collapsed building in Lagos 2016 in March. And tens of people also died. You see, wherever you have corruption, the consequences are enormous. It shows clearly that corruption is consuming the lives of so many innocent people.
Yeah, and we are not taking heed.
Yes. This building, people from Togo, artisans working there, died. Youth copper, food sellers, innocent people that have nothing, just perish. As we speak now, a lot of homes are in money mood.
I saw the rubble.
Yeah.
You saw the rubble.
And some people are still trapped there.
Yeah.
Maybe some are even alive as we speak, struggling to breathe.
I hear a man can go without food and water 7 days.
Yeah.
Today is 7 days.
So it's a traumatic way to die.
Traumatic.
You know, and if you look at it, this is avoidable death.
Avoidable.
Human error. Nothing more than human error. Corruption, using non-professionals, lack of monitoring by the institutions.
They talked about it. There's nothing like God no bring anything.
Human error. He built houses in London. There was no case of collapse. South Africa, United States, little error because there was effective institutional monitoring. But when you just think, okay, people are built there, you just go there, collect 100,000 naira, and then you go. You must know that there are consequences.
But nobody
and can
will
lead to human
escape.
death.
Anybody connected to this carnage?
I hope so. I hope so.
Then you don't believe in what they call nemesis?
Of course I believe. Because if you have conscience and people are dead now because of your action, then you must know that you have to carry that burden throughout your lifetime.
Lekon, let's talk about these untouchables because we deserve what we get in this country. We can't overemphasize it.
You see, Jones, my thinking about all this is that there's something called discretion. We carried that thing too far, such that we begin to compromise standards. We begin to compromise standards as if it is the individual. We don't have rule of law. When lawyers talk about rule of law, or jurisprudence, or constitutional people talk about rule of law, people think it's just to slam you. No, it's agreement on what are the standards of behavior in any particular point in time, and then you adhere to it. And I should be able to predict that when I'm driving on the right lane of the road, I am driving right. And I should not expect that somebody else will be driving on my lane facing me. That's what is called rule of law.
Let's quickly join a gentleman. He's a builder, Kunle Awobodu, that's the name. He's the immediate.
Studying the materials used to construct the buildings, it was pathetic, especially when you see a family being put on tentacles, waiting for a body to be extracted from under the rubble. I saw it happen with the stench. They will go and examine or try to identify that body, whether that person happened to be the relation or not. You know what really occurred to me? Especially when the governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, was persuaded to stay beyond 1 hour and monitor the rescue operation on that side. It became a learning process that we are not fully prepared for that kind of emergency. When you have slabs, about 20 slabs falling on one another, what equipment should you use to remove the slabs one after the other in order to evacuate those who are trapped? It was sad for a builder to be watching.
Mr. Awobodu, you just talked about a learning process, but aren't we too long in the classroom?
Yes. Since 2011, we formed an organization called Building Collapse Prevention Bill, starting from Lagos here. It was a grassroots movement, a coalition of all the semi-professionals in the built environment, maybe town planner, builders.
But you know, we saw pictures, right or wrong, of stop work at the site. What happened after then? Jide, we'll get back to you. When you are having a high-rise like this, you talk about the soil engineer, the site engineer, the pupil engineer, and all sorts of relevant engineers. And you're asking, where are they?
You see, in that report, in that coroner's report on the collapse of the synagogue building, the coroner spoke at length about the need to defeat corruption within the regulatory bodies, and the need for supervision from the beginning of the building process right up to the end. You don't just give approval for a building to be sited somewhere and then think that your job is done. The coroner also talked about the fact that the need for government to reduce the cost of even obtaining these permits, that until that is done, builders would not stop cutting corners. And how do they cut corners? They simply bribe government officials. Was it not an individual that former Governor Tinubu discovered to have given approval for a high-rise building to be erected on a drainage channel? Because I interviewed him and he said, see, even the cost of removing that high-rise building would discourage anyone. But what we've got to do is to dismiss the officers who let this happen. And that was what Governor Tinubu did at that time. But I want to believe that there are still many individuals like that who will not do their job of monitoring the building process, who will simply take bribes and look away, even when procedures that ought to be respected are violated. So it's not as if we do not have the structures to ensure that a good job is done, to ensure that the best materials are used, to ensure that the right concrete mix is used in the course of building these high-rise buildings. But are those people doing their job diligently? The answer is no. And I wish we can get back to Mr. Awobodu, because as builders, they have their own frustrations. Quacks have taken over the business. Oh, yeah. And builders, in order to save money, will continually patronize these quacks and the bad eggs among the builders. So we have a problem on our hands. How many times are we going to have buildings give way in Lagos? More buildings give way in Lagos than any part of our country.
Would we have that to do the right thing? How many times? And Jide, I'm talking about nobody is punished. Nobody is brought to book.
That is it. That is the problem. Look, who has been punished for the collapse of that building, that Synagogue Church of All Nations building? Who has been punished? The case, up till now, the case is still dragging at the courts. We have a big problem, even with our judiciary. The whimsical nature of our judicial process ensures that evil culprits do not get punished. And when they get punished, they don't even get punished on time.
Yeah.
Since 2014, by now, examples should have been made of those individuals.
Yeah.
We only read that the Nigerian Institute of Builders has decided to deregister 2 engineers who were involved in the building of that church building.
Except
they had no approval to even erect that structure in the first place. They didn't get approval, and they went ahead.
Except, Jide, I must stop you.
That structure.
I must stop you, Jide, because Awobodu is back. So we rejoin Kunle Awobodu, immediate past president of the Nigerian Institute of Builders. Brother Awobodu, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
I hope you can
so
hear me loud.
So what next? Where do we go from here? We have talked about nobody being punished. Is the Nigerian Institute of Builders not in a position to punish or bring anybody to book?
Yeah. Council of Registered Builders of Nigeria, which is the regulatory body, is in a position to withdraw the license of any member that fails to deliver a project successfully. And that is why builders all over the country, register competent professional builders, are extremely cautious. They are cautious that if anything happens on their side, compromise or any failure, they are in trouble, serious trouble with the professional body.
Yeah, they are in trouble, but nobody is sent to jail. Nobody is taken to court.
Information from our record, we have not been able to identify a builder.
Okay. Well, I'm not preempting him. No registered, perhaps he was going to say no registered member is known to have erected a building that fails.
Yes. So, really suggesting that we are having...
in their statute books, don't they have a provision for somebody facing the law?
Well, they probably should have, they should have some kind of way to deal with erring members of their institute. But I think you are even asking a bigger question that, for example, if quacks, sometimes people use what they call direct labor. Direct labor,
yeah.
To do some of these jobs. Isn't there a way for government to give approval and then to supervise, monitor and supervise at every stage?
Yeah.
When you are pegging, for example, somebody should be coming and looking at, do you have an approved architectural plan, for example? When you are doing the pegging for the foundation, at every stage, from pegging to even when you are the material that you are using, the iron that you are using for your, by the time you are done with your foundation and then you want to lift up to the next floor, if you are doing more than one floor, somebody should come and look at the texture of the block that you are using. Look at the strength of the metal, the iron rods that you are using.
Did they talk about metals and so on? We're saying the rubble.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not an expert, but look at it appears
somehow
for a high rise.
Yes, I'm looking at it. It doesn't. I don't think it's a serious looking thing that we got.
Look at the rubble.
But I'm not a professional, so I can't really preempt. But it looks like it is not strong enough to me. But I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert in this area. So, but more importantly is that 21-story building, even if the approval was for 24, I thought that at every stage there must be a daily monitoring of the work there, just to be sure
that the integrity is there of the building.
Yes, the materials and then the design itself, the structural engineer, especially when February last year, the structural engineer wrote a letter and said, excuse me, we are excusing ourselves from this job. I imagine that probably a copy of that letter would have gone to the building, that arm that supervises buildings in Lagos State, and then they should have come and say, wait a minute, Mr. Mustafa, who signed the letter, what did you find? What happened? And then sit down and let's see what is going on here, and then take a firm decision. But nothing like that happened.
Jide, we are back with you. We are talking about confidence building. If the populace or the citizens sees that government is doing something about failing buildings, obviously there's a way forward because something will be seen to have been done.
Yes. We have reached a point now that we should tell ourselves that we can't continue to have this level of loss of lives as a result of buildings giving way. This is an extreme situation, and an extreme problem requires an extreme solution. Where we have discovered that officials are complicit in the collapse of these buildings, we've got to sanitize that sector and show many of these officials the door. If we do not do that and we keep them within the system, then we are not going to solve this problem. Elsewhere, by now, heads will have been rolling.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Elsewhere, we've only heard of one person suspended for the meantime. Government has got to go beyond that. And I'm saying that we are hemorrhaging too many lives as a result of building collapse in Lagos State. That shows that there is a big problem. There's a big problem in that state with respect to building collapse. When you look at cases, there are far more cases of building collapse in Lagos than any part of our country. And that's the reason that we should not simply take remedial actions. We should take strong actions to address this problem. That sector, the regulatory body has to be sanitized and the right people put in place. The people who are sabotaging
the system must be kicked out of the system. Until we do that, we will not solve this problem. I want to see the judiciary also play its part. Everyone must jump in to ensure that this does not happen again. How many times have we seen this kind of thing happen in other places? A building that high simply going down. It means that something was wrong ab initio, either with the design or with the materials used. Coming to tell us that, oh, the man actually built houses in South Africa, did this and that, is all empty gas. This is Nigeria. We know that it is easier to cut corners in our country and save money than in other places. People know that. People know that. So everyone, even foreigners who naturally would not want to be corrupt, they come into our system and they get even more corrupt than our own people. So, I mean, we just got to solve this problem. We can't continue to have people die in this manner. And then have we even got the equipment?
Let me tell you that all of us, all three of us here, are scandalized, but, you know, by what's on the floor. And while we are talking about punishing somebody for this kind of a crime, and people seeing that the fellow is being punished. Otherwise, we are dealing with the regime of the untouchables.
We are not just talking of punishment. What kind of punishment? If you suspend somebody, and then so what? People have lost their lives. And then beyond this, there are other buildings I can predict to you that may collapse sooner than expected. Are we going to carry out integrity tests for construction, for buildings going on, construction going on now, all over the country? It's all about modeling up the planning laws of Lagos, the town planning laws. People build houses to suit their own interest. When we are talking about flooding all over Lagos, it's because people don't have respect for, you know, for town planning laws. You know, it's not just about building collapsing. A lot of buildings catch fire, those go up in flames. So electrical fault and all sort of problems. So I hope the government, apart from this building, we should not wait for another collapse before we take steps. Construction companies going on, a building that are being constructed now, there should be a form of integrity test to ensure that this kind of thing do not happen again.
Have you heard some crazy thing like when a high-rise is being erected, like one spanner go miss, meaning somebody will fall from somewhere and so on. It's preventable if you ask me.
Yeah,
it is.
My understanding of any work site, I really haven't worked in a factory. Once you enter into a work site, that work site is supposed to be a safety zone. Safety first is the number one thing. Every decision must be taken with that at the back of your mind. Safety of everyone working in that place.
And you know, all right, Kunle Awobodu is back. Kunle, how do you close? How do we take this home? What do you want to see from here?
I just want to put this straight. To every problem, there is a solution. Since the governor, what we thought to bring into place these urban and regional laws in Lagos State, I mean, the physical planning law of 2010, we have done a lot of homework behind the scene. If we could create time to address this matter, the solution is there. You know, when the governor is very busy managing about 22 million persons.
Yeah, Kunle, what do you want to see? You know, say it here.
Yes. What we have to see is that this one must draw its attention to make general overhauling within the system, number one. Number two.
Kunle, except that we are speaking tongue-in-cheek, don't you want to see somebody punished?
That has always been the case.
Okay.
if this can be the first time, everybody all over the world is looking at that. It has not happened before. So many recommendations that were not implemented.
Thank you, Kunle. We must thank you very kindly for your time. Kunle Awobudu is the immediate past president of the Nigerian Institute of Builders. He's a man for these times, and he's also the immediate past president, Building Collapse Prevention Guild. All right, our last story. There is no gainsaying what the effects of a heightened banditry would be in the northwest of the country. News reaching us say that hunger, a most potent outcome of conflict, is enveloping parts of Zamfara, Sokoto, and parts of Kebbi states. Bandits are said to be looting farms and shops. These outlaws have blocked access to farmlands. At the risk of sounding alarmist, hunger is staring northwesterners of the country in the face. And this is not something that pleases anybody. Jide, we are in the throes of harder times, or aren't we?
Yes, we are, and this is the reason we've been appealing to the armed forces to deal a decisive blow on bandits in the northwest, because the northwest and the north central part of our country constitutes the food basket of our country. If farmers can't go to their farms peacefully and reap the result of their hard work, then we are staring hunger in the face. The governor of Kaduna State warned recently that hunger could result from the fact that bandits were running rampant in the northwest. And this is what we are seeing. They take over communities just the same way Boko Haram used to take over communities and deny people access to their farms. In some cases, they make you pay some form of taxation before you can access your farms. And where people stand up to them that they are not going to pay, they make them pay with their lives. That was what happened in Kebbi State, where in Kebbi South, we lost 88 persons in one day. The farmers were not going to pay bandits money to have access to their farms. And then they opened fire on these farmers. In some communities in Katsina, parts of Niger, and even Zamfara, farmers are already used to negotiating with bandits, paying them some monies in exchange for peace. I mean, no one should be surprised that a bag of beans is extremely expensive now. Some 3 months ago, a bag of beans was being sold in the region of 60,000 naira. A friend of mine told me 2 weeks ago that it had gone to 103,000 naira. So why won't food items be so expensive? Because we are denying people access to their farms. In Ondo State, the government set up a plantation, and bandits went to that plantation to abduct 6 workers. Would workers want to go back to such a plantation when they remember that their colleagues were picked up by bandits? So this is the problem. They are creating a climate of fear that is not conducive for food production. We can't continue to have bandits running riot in the major food belts of our country. I mean, it's just painful.
Yeah, yeah. Lekon, the debate is on to look at the propriety or otherwise of naming bandits terrorists. And we, like a cycle, we keep going on and on and on. So a bandit is a bandit is a bandit.
Yeah, he's a criminal and he should be treated as a criminal. I don't understand when a minister says, well, if you call them terrorists, then because they are not, what was the language he used? They don't have ideological something. Yeah. And I'm beginning to look at it that what are we doing? Are we going to solve the problem or not? You know, and then the human GPRS that is going to talk to them, that somebody called Sheikh Ahmed, Sheikh Gumi, for example. What role is he playing you know, when he says you cannot even describe them as criminals to start with, you know. And then, I don't know if you, somebody sent me a video about a week or so ago, and I was alarmed. A customs officer in uniform said that he paid for the lives of himself and his men with 7 bags of, I think, smuggled rice or something that he sees. You know, that just tells you that, you remember when I was talking about Anambra, I said, we send security forces into Anambra to monitor election. But when it gets to something that is so devastating to the economy, the soldiers, the policemen are found wanting. If these people can go to the accommodation staff quarters of University of Abuja in a city, what can they not do in the rural areas? And farms are generally going to be in rural areas anyway. You know, and then
they will be deserted.
Yes. So it's easy to pick somebody up. I have a friend who told me he had 1,000 acres of cotton in the north. He told me in 2017 that he doesn't go to his farm again. I said, why? He said he will be kidnapped. I didn't know that things are going to get this worse. It's even worse than the scenario he was painting for me then.
Adeoye, these are times that try men's souls. And so you're looking at the picture, something must be flooding your mind.
Bandits or terrorists, the fact of the matter is that bandits they terrorize the people. You know, they are involved in terror, they are involved in kidnapping, violence, and all that. But bandits are not spirits, they are human beings. They live somewhere, they have parents, they have brothers, they sleep somewhere in the night. And they have telephones, they communicate with telephones. How do they register those telephone lines? And of course,